Was it a gator, or something much worse? This question hung heavy in the humid air, thick with the smell of swamp water and fear. It was a question whispered from behind closed shutters, a question that echoed through the live oaks draped in Spanish moss. The bayou held its breath, waiting for an answer. The truth, whatever it may be, lay shrouded in the murky depths of Lake Darbone, Louisiana, a place where the sun struggled to penetrate the dense canopy of cypress trees, and secrets seemed to cling to the water lilies like morning dew. The body was discovered on a Tuesday morning. A local fisherman out before the sun spotted something unusual, caught amongst the reeds on the edge of the lake. He had been coming to this spot for years, knowing every ripple and shadow. But this time, something was different. The water seemed to whisper secrets, and the air was thick with an unspoken tension. It wasn't the sight of a lifeless body that was unusual in these parts. The swamp was as unforgiving as it was beautiful. The dense, murky waters had claimed many lives over the years, and the locals had grown accustomed to its dark side. Yet, there was something about this discovery that felt profoundly unsettling. It was the way the body lay, twisted at an unnatural angle that sent shivers down the fisherman's spine. The limbs were contorted in a manner that defied natural explanation, as if the person had been caught in a violent struggle. The reeds around the body seemed to clutch at it, like fingers unwilling to let go. News, as it always does in small towns, traveled faster than a water moccasin through the reeds. Whispers turned into murmurs, and soon the entire town was buzzing with speculation. Theories ranged from tragic accidents to sinister foul play, each more elaborate than the last. Soon the entire town of Darbone, what little there was of it, knew that something was amiss. The townspeople gathered in small groups, their faces etched with concern and curiosity. The discovery had shaken the community to its core, and everyone had an opinion on what might have happened. The sheriff, a stoic man weathered by years of dealing with the bayou's mysteries, arrived with a frown etched deep into his face. He had seen his fair share of strange occurrences, but this one felt different. There was a heaviness in the air, a sense that this was just the beginning of something much larger. This was no ordinary accident. The scene was too peculiar, too deliberate. The sheriff knew that uncovering the truth would require delving into the dark, tangled history of Lake Darbone, a place where secrets were as deep as the waters themselves. Fear, like the Spanish moss that clung to the trees, had a way of spreading in Darbone. It crept into the general store, where whispers replaced the usual morning pleasantries. It settled over the diner, where plates of grits and gravy went cold as locals exchanged uneasy glances. There was a history here, a darkness that lurked beneath the surface of their peaceful bayou community, a history that made the townsfolk wary, their smiles a little less ready, their eyes always scanning the shadows. Section 4. Echoes of Terror. Gator. Attacks of the Past. Gator attacks were not unheard of in these parts. The bayou, with its dense foliage and murky waters, has always been a place of mystery and danger. Locals knew to tread carefully, respecting the hidden predators that lurked beneath the surface. Every few years, the murky waters of the lake would claim a victim. The fog that rolled in during the early mornings and late evenings only added to the sense of foreboding. It was as if the swamp itself was alive, waiting for its next prey. A careless fisherman who strayed too close to the water's edge. Often these were seasoned individuals who had spent their lives by the water. Yet one moment of distraction could prove fatal. A child, enticed by the allure of the lily pads. The innocence of youth, unaware of the lurking dangers, made them easy targets. Parents would often warn their children, but the beauty of the bayou was hard to resist. These tragedies were a grim reminder of the power of nature, the respect the bayou demanded. Warning signs dotted the area, but nature had a way of reclaiming its territory, making it easy to forget the dangers that lay in wait. but this time felt different. The air was thick with an unspoken tension, and the usual sounds of the swamp seemed muted, as if the bayou itself was holding its breath. The whispers spoke of wounds that couldn't be explained, injuries that didn't match the typical gator attack. It was as if something more sinister was at play, something that defied the natural order, of an eerie silence where there should have been the telltale signs of a struggle. The stillness was unnerving, a stark contrast to the usual cacophony of the swamp. It was a silence that hinted at secrets yet to be uncovered. Section 5. Legends of the Bayou, the Gator Men. The bayou was a place of legends. Stories passed down through generations, whispered around campfires and under the covers of beds. Stories of swamp witches and rougarous, of spirits that wandered the cypress groves, and creatures that lurked in the shadows. One legend, however, sent chills down the spines of even the most seasoned bayou dwellers. The legend of the Gator Men, creatures that walked upright, their bodies a grotesque fusion of man and beast. These were not tales for the faint of heart. Section 6. Whispers turn to screams, evidence mounts. The rumors, fueled by fear and speculation, began to swirl faster than a whirlpool. The sheriff, a man of logic and evidence, dismissed them as just that, rumors. But even he couldn't ignore the mounting evidence that pointed to something otherworldly. The tracks found near the water's edge were unlike anything anyone had seen before. Massive, three-toed prints, leading from the water's edge and disappearing into the dense undergrowth. Section 7. In the shadow of the cypress. A chilling conclusion. The question, was it a gator, lingered in the air, unanswered. The silence of the swamp was almost deafening, broken only by the occasional croak of a distant frog or the rustle of unseen creatures moving through the underbrush. The bayou, as if guarding its secrets, remained tight-lipped. The water, dark and still, seemed to hold 1,000 untold stories, each more mysterious than the last. But deep down, in the pit of their stomachs, the people of Darbone knew something. They felt an unspoken fear, a collective unease that bound them together in their shared dread. They knew that the swamp held dangers beyond the reach of their understanding. The dense vegetation and murky waters were home to creatures and forces that defied explanation. As the sun set, casting long, eerie shadows across the water, the atmosphere grew even more foreboding. The once familiar landscape transformed into a realm of shadows and whispers. The legend of the Gatormen took root in their minds. Stories of half-man, half-gator creatures lurking in the depths of the swamp became more than just tales. They became a chilling reality, a chilling reminder that in the heart of the bayou some things are best left undisturbed. The swamp, with its dark beauty and hidden perils, was a place where the line between myth and reality blurred, leaving an indelible mark on all who dared to venture into its depths.